Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be jumping on that trend of reacting to bad financial advice on TikTok because lately I have seen some doozies. So some of these really need to be brought to light so we can avoid spreading this kind of advice.
Get ready with me to go buy our 4-year-old a Tesla. What you're thinking, you're like, you bought her a Louis Vuitton, now you're buying her a Tesla, what's going on? Yeah, it sounds kind of crazy, but it's really not. One thing that I've learned from being a parent is that time goes so much faster than you think it will. She's already 4 and it feels like those 4 years just flew by, so before we know it, she's going to be 16. So this is our plan. We're gonna get her a car now and then keep it in storage so that the day she turns 16 or 15 and a half, whenever you can drive, she has that car ready for her. We don't have to worry. We won't have to worry about that car not being around anymore. Like, what if Tesla stops making it? Another thing that really sold us on this idea is that obviously the price of everything is going up nowadays. So this same Tesla in 12 years is going to be way more expensive than it is now. So buying it now will save us so much money. Yeah, there may be some negatives, but at this point, there's way more pros than cons. Plus, she's been asking for a Tesla, so she is going to be so excited. And we explained to the sales associate what we were doing, and they said they have people do this all the time. It's actually way more common than you think, so before you guys say anything, even the people at Tesla agree. I'm so relieved because she wants to wrap it pink, so we don't really have to worry about what color they have because we're going to wrap it anyway, so that is going to relieve so much stress from the buying process. Plus, we're paying cash, so this whole thing should be pretty quick and pretty easy. And if everything goes smooth, I think we are going to end up going back and getting another one for Beanie. So we will see you guys when we get there.
This video has over 3 million views, and I think it's safe to say that not many people are out there buying cars for their 4-year-olds. I don't really get the logic of thinking that you're going to be saving money by buying this car today. Yes, inflation is happening, and yes, things are going to continue to get more expensive, but incomes will increase over time. It looks like a base Model Y is $36,500. She said she was going to put it in storage, so we'll assume that's $100 a month, and she would be ready to give her daughter this car when she's 16, so 12 years. If we assume an 8% return, that money could grow to $115,000. So I don't think this is the best use of those dollars. You can kind of tell why she's doing this. She's operating from the standpoint of scarcity. She said, what if Tesla stops making this car? What if they aren't around anymore? That way she still has one on hand. The odds of Tesla stopping making cars is probably not good. And even if they did, there would be other cars around. That can't be real. Let me look through some of her other videos. Okay, so she actually has a video of them going to the Tesla dealership, but I feel like the entire channel has to be satire and it has to be sarcastic because every single video she has is her talking about spending $700,000, talking about buying Louis Vuittons, talking about going on these amazing trips. It can't be real. So I feel like this whole channel has to be sarcastic, but the thing is, I don't think anyone can tell that it's sarcastic because I'm looking through these comments with these millions of views, and literally 90% of them are like, that's a terrible idea, which it is a terrible idea to buy your 4-year-old a car. So while the video has to be sarcastic, I don't think she does a great job at ensuring that it comes across as sarcastic because she never says that it's a joke, and she does a follow-up video with them actually in the Tesla dealership. So I think it tries to drive home the point that she's being serious, but I do think it's totally sarcastic. So if you look at it through that light, it's kind of funny, it's lighthearted. But if anybody looks at this and actually thinks she's being real, that's a really bad plan. Don't buy a car for a 4-year-old. There will always be other cars down the road. If you're thinking you have to get something now or it'll never exist again, you're operating from a scarcity mindset. And in that place, you can make some really bad decisions. So just know there are other cars down the road. And if you try to buy a car now for someone who's going to use it 12 years, 14 years down the road, it's going to age. It's not going to be the latest, greatest model. There will always be other cars. I have a car that I think is 16 years old at this point. And when you end up with a car that's that age, you get to brag about things like, oh, I actually have to put a key in to start my car, or I have this amazing CD player. The next generation doesn't even know what CDs are. So there will always be other cars down the road. Don't operate from a scarcity mindset. Don't have this mindset of like, oh, what if they just stop making them down the road? Like I said, I know that this one was sarcastic. You kind of had to dig to find that it was sarcastic, but overall, still a bad plan. And could you imagine if the parents had an attitude of, oh, my 4-year-old just asked for it, so of course I have to give it to them. That's gonna create a spoiled kid like, Mommy, I want a Tesla, and you get that for them. Or any other item that is several $100s or several thousands of dollars. You don't need to give your kids everything they want. Kids will be fine without every toy under the sun, and they're certainly fine without a Tesla. Again, I know it's a joke, but still. Don't do things like that. Kids are fine. They can have the basic necessities and they're good to go.
This is one of the most underrated factors of the restaurant and bar industry. Always having cash on hand. And let me tell you how you can save tons of money with cash. I'm about to go pick up my car from the shop and they quoted me that it was going to be $16.80 to fix my car. Well, I know that if I use any kind of major credit card, they lose 3% of that price point towards credit card fees. So I asked, how much discount would you give me if I pay cash? They said we'll do $1,600 even.
That one's actually great. I mean, if you can find a way to get a discount, whether that's paying with cash or just negotiating your bills, that's a great way to save money. So honestly, that one's great.
You should not be investing in stocks and real estate. Stocks and real estate is the slowest way to get rich unless you are trading or flipping houses. But if you are working a job and you're trying to find a way to get rich, investing in stocks and real estate will never do it for you because it's going to be way too slow and you're not going to get rich until you're 40.
Social media has really pushed this idea that you need to get rich quick, and telling someone they're not going to be rich until they're 40 if they're investing through traditional mediums like real estate or using the stock market. 40 is not old. Those years are going to pass. Slow and steady wins the race. It's best to take a slow and proven path rather than risking your money and risking losing it all. So I love the traditional mediums. I actually am a huge advocate for investing in the stock market because it's wildly accessible to most people. You can get started with just a few dollars. You could start with as little as say $10 or $20 with say a Fidelity index fund. There's low barriers to entry, widely accessible. I actually think this is how we should be telling people to invest, and then just stay the course. Keep investing continuously every month for the rest of your life until you retire, and you will actually be successful. More people have become millionaires through investing in real estate and through investing in the stock market than any other method. So why not take the most proven paths? Sure, they may be slower than someone who's telling you that you're going to double your money in say 12 months, but that person is probably not telling you the truth. Just go with the traditional methods, stick with the stock market, use your 401k plan, buy your house, pay off the mortgage. Those kind of things are certain paths to wealth.
Everyone always says that you should only buy a house that you can actually afford. Well, I'm here to tell you why you should actually buy a house that you absolutely cannot afford. When you buy a house with a monthly payment that strains your cash flows, it really puts pressure on you to actually go out and earn more money. That sense of discomfort that you get every time you look at your bank balance at the end of each month, that is your ticket to success.
He's being funny. This one's sarcastic. Okay, hang on, we'll continue.
That is your motivation to work hard, hustle more, and get paid. Look, the reality is people need pressure in order to perform. When you're put in a situation where you have no other option but to succeed, you'll figure it out. And what better situation than locking yourself into 30 years of a monthly payment that you can't afford? Knowing that you could lose your home at any moment and be in complete financial ruin is such a powerful motivator that we should be harnessing.
Okay, so at first I thought he was serious. I'm like, we don't need to be telling people to buy a house that's outside their budget, which most houses nowadays are at their record high prices. So it'd be very easy for someone to buy a home that's outside of their budget. However, he's being sarcastic. Totally love this. We don't need to manufacture a hardship in our life when it comes to finances. I think you should be able to buy things that are within your realm of affordability when it comes to a house or a car or just your plain lifestyle. As funny as that is actually what a lot of people in America actually end up doing. They kind of manufacture this situation where they're at the whim of debt. They bought a home that is too expensive for them, or they bought a car that is too expensive expensive, or they buy a lifestyle on a regular basis that they truly can't afford, and then they end up living a life in discomfort where they're constantly just having to pay back all of this debt that they can't really afford based on their income. So hilarious video, but definitely something you don't want to be doing.
Okay, I genuinely think that saving money is horrible advice, and let me give you my take on things because I think this is really going to help a lot of people. This is coming from someone who spends $250,000 a year, so $250,000 a year on just myself. So the basis of this is that I think it's really important for you to experience that there's a lot of money out there and that there's more of it that's going to come into your life. You're able to make more, and you want to get rid of this belief that there isn't enough. And I think that when you're saving money, it comes from like usually an unconscious pattern underneath in your subconscious that says there isn't enough money. We definitely need to save it because we don't know if it's always going to keep coming in. And it's not the case for everybody, but I want you to ask yourself, have you ever thought this way before? Because if you have, you might have an unconscious belief that's not true. There's more than enough money out there. And if you have skills, you have a business, you've got a Shopify store, an Amazon business, a real estate portfolio, you have the ability to make more money. And really, there's no end to it. I mean, you end when you want it to end. So that's my case for why I think saving money is a terrible idea and that you should spend a lot of money on yourself.
Okay, I don't think saving money is a terrible idea, but I do understand where he's coming from. If you're taking it to the extreme and all you're doing is saving money, you kind of are missing the point of money itself, because we don't want to save money just for the sake of saving money. We want to save money with the intent of using it to build the life we want. So you shouldn't save everything by any means. You should be spending, enjoying today, building a life that you want to build. But set aside something for your future. Set aside something for your short-term goals. Set aside something for your long-term goals so that one day you can step away from the workforce. I feel like he kind of goes along with the idea that's put forward in the book Die with Zero. Now, that can be a great kind of approach when it comes to getting super savers to spend a little bit more of their money, because you don't want to be saving everything, but you also don't want to be on the flip side of that and saving nothing. We don't want to have the goal of spending every cent we make, because then we have nothing to fall back on when life happens. Then you're dependent on that next paycheck. Then you're dependent on a job. Saving money and investing your money and building wealth creates freedom. So I really don't like the advice of don't save anything. You should find a happy medium. You should not save so much that you're not enjoying today, but not save too little that you have to forever keep working and living paycheck to paycheck. I don't really believe the idea that money is infinite and you will always be able to go out and earn more. I think you should set yourself up for success so you can achieve financial freedom.
Money advice that's just wrong. First, that you should always own your own home. Second, that you need to have at least a 6 months emergency fund just sitting there. And third, that all debt is a bad idea.
Well, I don't know. He didn't really give us any reasons. I don't think you have to own your own home in order to build wealth. You can absolutely build wealth in other ways. You can simply invest in the stock market, use index funds, broad-based mutual funds, and you can still build wealth. You don't simply have to own a home. I do believe you need an emergency fund, and whether or not you need 6 months kind of depends on your situation. And I do think there is a distinction between good and bad debt, but he didn't really go into these things. Like, I think it's okay to have a mortgage because you need a place to live, and most people don't have $300,000 or $400,000 sitting around to buy this home. But if we compare a mortgage debt to, say, credit card debt, those are two wildly different animals. Credit card debt is always bad. Mortgage debt is not always bad. So I feel like we need a little more context for this one. It just left us with one big cliffhanger.
Never once in 16 years was I taught about this.
So walk the normal person that's never heard of this before through the whole cycle.
So I'll just give you an example. So if this was the $100 that I just spent an hour working for, this money's got to go somewhere. Most people would put this in a traditional bank. So you put your money there, but then if I take this $100 back out to give to Cody to go buy real estate, does the bank still pay me 1% on that money?
Absolutely
not. If I change one thing and I take this $100, instead of putting it in a bank, I set up one of these banking systems and I put this $100 in. 30 days later, you call me up and say, Chris, I got this great deal. You got to get in on this. I'll pay you 12% if you can lend me $100. And I then go to my bank and I take this $100 and I give it to you. But most people would say, well, it's the same as a bank. Nothing, because I just took the money out.
Yeah.
But you see, that 100 I just took wasn't even my money. So my money's making 6%, but I just took that money out. Whose money do I have? The insurance company. So the insurance company lends me money from their account and collateralizes it with mine. When they do that, that loan they gave me, a lot of people are like, oh, that's bad. I don't want another loan. I don't want to pay it back. Great. You don't have to pay it back, because what the insurance company gave you was your death benefit early.
This is a really slippery slope to go down. He's referencing whole life insurance policies. And I'm not a huge advocate for whole life insurance policies. I prefer term. You insure yourself for the term where you need insurance, maybe when you have dependents in your household, maybe when you have a mortgage, so you don't pass on a debt burden or create a hardship should you pass away. So I really love term insurance. It's far more affordable than whole life insurance policies. It has lower fees. A lot of these whole life policies, yes, they may allow you to invest your money or borrow from the death benefit. They're not worth it. You could otherwise be investing your money in, say, the stock market or say index funds, and you're going to experience far less fees. The commissions on these whole life policies are really high, and there's a reason the salespeople push them, because it pads their pockets. I think this is honestly too complex. You don't need that level of complexity in your life. I'd stick with the simple things. Just buy a term life insurance policy if you're at a point in life where you need life insurance, and then put your money to work through other investments. Don't try to mingle the two. Don't try to make your investments your life insurance.
My top rule is to be financially free. You want to make sure that your income is more than your expenses. You want to make sure you put at least 10% away. Use that money to invest. Don't pay off your car, which is so stupid. Depreciate an asset. The worst thing you can do is go buy a house. Why is it not good to go buy a house? Because you want to take the money that you're saving, the 10%, and you want to put it into things that are going to be income producing. Companies, businesses, rental properties, whatever you can. And most people don't take that 10%. That 10% is huge. And eventually you want to get to the point where you're living off 10% and you're putting the 90% to work. That's the goal.
This one actually started off really great. Of course you want to live below your means. You want to make sure that you have a buffer in your budget to set aside 10% or maybe even 15% towards savings and investments so you can build wealth. I don't know why you would say not to pay off a car. Carrying a debt like that is not going to help you in terms of building wealth. I actually think the best practice is to buy your car in cash if you can. If you can't pay for a car in cash, you can finance one, but then stick to a guideline like the 24 and 10 rule. So you put 20% down, you finance for no more than 4 years, and you keep your payment to 10% or less of your take-home pay. So many people find themselves in a position where they have car payments that are $700 or even $1,000 a month. They actually end up having a car payment forever because they're constantly upgrading their car. And honestly, cars are a huge reason that people have hardship when it comes to retirement readiness. And I have a whole video on it that I will link down below. And also the whole thing of never buying a home. I've said it before, like I think you can build wealth without buying a home, but building wealth is easier if you have a home.
The worst thing you can do is go buy a house.
I don't know why he says the worst thing you can do is buy a house. I think we need someplace to live. So I think whether you want to rent or whether you want to buy, what's best for your circumstance and your financial situation is going to be personal to you. But I certainly don't think it's the worst thing you can ever do. Homes generally appreciate in value. So if you do buy a home, just make sure you buy one that fits well within your budget and that you can afford the payment, and then work towards paying it off. And then you can live in a place and have a relatively low cost of living once that mortgage is paid off. Of course, you still have utilities and taxes, but your living expenses go down dramatically once you own your home. But I do agree with his overall sentiment that you should be investing, you should be working to build your wealth over time. I just don't know why we took a left turn when we came to talking about cars or homes. Some of the TikTok advice out there is honestly quite scary because I feel like some people just look at someone's following and say, oh, they must have great advice if they have a lot of views or if they have a big following. So I think it's really important that you're educating yourself and making sure you're putting yourself in a good situation financially. Don't just randomly follow advice from anyone on the internet, even sitting here watching this video. Make sure that you do your own research and you do your own due diligence, because you don't want to fall into the trap of saying, I watched an Instagram reel or I watched a TikTok video and that's how I got started on my financial track. Because what if it starts you in the wrong direction? Have you guys seen any really bad TikToks? Let me know your thoughts in a comment down below. Share the link if you have it, because I'm always interested in seeing them. Some of this advice is just questionable at best, is what I can say at this point. But I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, or if you like this style of content, let me know in a comment and I can certainly do more of these. If you're new here, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, because it really does help the channel and I really appreciate it. I will see you soon. Bye.